description of this. Hi.
And we're live.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Your Fun Is. I am Avon, and I'm standing in for Lee today. He unfortunately
Because Avon's amazing.
What's up?
So, as per this show, what we're going to be talking about is we're going to be talking about pretty much creating a world for players to play in and different ways that the world itself can be balanced, the gameplay that goes through, and just overall how to make a world that players want to play in.
Hell yeah.
Joining me today, we have Abigail, we have Edward, we have Erst, and we have Grex Star. So feel free to take it away, guys.
Yeah, so today we're going to be talking about two of the not quite as recent as they used to be, but two of the foremost Unearthed Arcana wizard traditions, namely the Lore Master and the Theurgist.
Give me some more.
We're going to be talking about whether or not we think they're balanced, and if they aren't balanced, what you can do as a DM, or if you're a player, what you can do to work with your DM to make it work better in the balance that is the game. So I think we can just start with the Theurgist and work our way through that, and then move over to the Lore Master.
Sounds good to me.
All right. So to those of you who may not know, the Theurgist is basically a wizard with a cleric overcoat on it. You as a Theurgist, you choose a divine domain to work with, and the cleric's divine domains work as your wizard school traditions. So to read through the abilities, there's the concept of channeling arcana, which is totally not channel divinity. There's the Arcane Acolyte, where you get the first level benefits of a domain at 6th level. There's the Arcane Priest, where you get the 6th level benefits at level 10. And there's the Arcane High Priest, where you get the 17th level benefits of a cleric domain at 14th level. Because, why not? So that's...
If you want to play a cleric, play a cleric.
Yeah, well, this is the thing. Like, what's our initial reactions to this particular class?
So the first thing I've always thought of with the Theurgist is basically it's the black sheep of the cleric family. That's like, screw you guys. I'm gonna go
my own way.
It's like, but he's still. So I just always imagine it's like the bunch of like the really frumpy looking hill dwarves who have all been dedicated to the same god for like 6,000 years, and then there's the one nerd born into the family who like stumbles his way into a magic shop, and then like it's like, hey, this wizard shit's pretty cool. And then he comes back and he's like, Mom, Dad, look, I'm this wizard thing, and they're like, no, you're only cleric.
No,
and they're
this
like,
is wrong.
And it's like, but wizard, no.
Okay.
It's who I am now, Mom.
See, like, your story makes more sense to me than like how I look at the class. Because to me, I'm like, I already play a divine soul sorcerer, and to me, it's like they're just trying to do the same thing, but with a wizard instead of like a sorcery class. And wizard to me is quite like a powerful class, and so is cleric. And to mash those two together, it can become so unbalanced if you're not like careful.
I feel really like a hat on a hat. Almost. Like, I understand having to want to do if you want to be a more diverse healer, if that's kind of just about the only reason I could kind of see this working. But it
seems like there's a pull with it.
Yeah, the other thing that I just think is kind of strange about it is that the Channel Arcana is really, really strong.
Yeah, for sure.
The way that the Channel Arcana works, if you haven't read it, is sort of similar use pattern to the Channel Divinity that clerics get, where it's once per long rest up until level 6, and then twice per long rest until level 18, where it's 3 times per long rest. But your Channel Arcana is you just add a +2 to the saving throw DC or attack roll you make for a spell. So I look at that and I go, okay, so I can add 2 to my saving throw DC. What spells as a wizard can I cast that lots of creatures have to make a save against? So
exactly. Wizards have access to so many spells as is. And then to give them the ability to really fuck shit up with those spells.
So Fireball with a +2 save DC. That's not that bad. And then, but let's go a little higher up the chain. Let's say instead of casting Fireball, you're casting Vitrolic Sphere. Or let's go a little farther up the chain. You cast Firestorm with a harder DC than as a wizard, where your spell save DC is already the most important thing about your class, is having it be hard to resist your spells. And then you can make it even harder when you really need to make sure it counts. That seems...
Yeah. I'm going to cast Firestorm, and just because I hate you, DM, I'm going to add a +2 to the DC.
Yeah, it's just clearly hunting rabbits with a hydrogen bomb wasn't good enough. I'm going to hunt rabbits with 2 hydrogen bombs.
Oh my god. Yeah, I definitely think there is some problems with this class. And but that's like I said, I already feel like it's been made before, the whole crossing between cleric and other classes. It's been done a few times now, and I don't know that this one is particularly necessary. I mean, I'm not going to stop anyone from playing what they want to play.
Do you think it's bleeding out the cleric? Do you think clerics are not necessary anymore with all of these different subclasses?
I think that clerics are an important class to have, and they're an important class to have be interesting. And this is because in advanced D&D and second edition D&D, clerics basically only healed and did nothing else.
Yeah.
And that sucked. And nobody wanted to play a cleric because your one job was to make sure that the barbarian who's doing all the cool things stayed alive. And that's kind of boring. And then 3.5 was better, but it wasn't great about making clerics do more than just heal. And then I know that somebody's going to smite me for saying this in the comments. Fourth edition, the cleric had things it could do besides heal, and it made the cleric interesting. And 5th edition is also a step in the right direction, where clerics do things that are more than just cure wounds.
And clerics don't necessarily have to follow a good deity anymore. They've opened up classes where it's you could follow a more neutral deity or follow a more chaotic deity. And they're really trying to open it up and make cleric cool. And there is some fucking cool cleric classes.
One of the first characters I ever played was a Tempest cleric, and it was probably some of the most fun I've ever had, just screwing around with stuff
Yeah,
sure. Tempest cleric is a really, really cool class.
And isn't there a knowledge cleric, which essentially is already that whole intelligent cleric? So where do we need a wizard cleric?
So the other thing that I notice immediately when I look at the Theurgist class is I'm okay, so I get the 1st, 6th, and 17th level benefits from a cleric domain.
14.
You get the level 1 benefit at level 6. You get the level 6 benefit at level 10. You get the level 17 benefit at level 14.
You're essentially multi-classing whilst not multi-classing.
It's a pseudo multi-class.
Cheap multi-classing at that,
Yeah.
So what cleric domain is the one that jumps out to me as the thing that I want to get? Because I don't get any of the weapon proficiencies, but I get just the flat benefits. So the first one that I think of is Tempest Cleric, because you get to do shenanigans with lightning damage and knockback, and wizards get access to a lot more lightning damage spells than clerics do. Clerics get 2, maybe.
Yeah.
Even if you're playing a Tempest Cleric, you get 3. It's Call Lightning, Thunderwave, and it's not much. But wizards, they get a lot more damaging spells in their spell list, because wizard is designed to be the flexible spellcaster. So it's like, okay, I will take chain lightning, but instead of it just being chain lightning, I'm also going to shoot everybody off the bridge. So they all just die. It's like, goodbye, friends. Au revoir.
Worthless. Yeah.
So it's like, okay, that's the first subclass that jumps out at me. What are the other subclasses that I think of? Is like, well, if I'm a wizard and I get these freebie cleric benefits, what am I gonna freebie into? And then it's like, okay, so I got the 6th level benefit. What are good 6th level benefits here? So then there's I think the light domain, which does stuff with radiant and fire damage. So you can do a build with that.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
The class is really flexible.
It could be
But
fun.
is that flexibility too strong? And I think it can be because the wizard spell list is designed to be super flexible, and cleric domains are designed to be super flexible. So just the added layers of flexibility make the class pretty strong. And also, Channel Arcana just seems way too good to me. Like,
yeah.
Just no.
So with that said, how would you dumb this down so like you could make it a working class? If people were that determined to put the wizard over the cleric instead of playing a knowledge cleric, that is like a cleric with a little bit of dazzling of wizard. It's like kind of the power shift.
Yeah.
How could you make this work?
The first thing I would think of is I would be tempted to change the way the Channel Arcana works to work in a way that it's more like you get it at 2nd, 6th, and 18th level. So each of those levels you get sort of a Warlock Mystic Arcanum type thing where you just get a spell slot that you get to use as your Channel Arcanum for the day.
Right, okay.
And then so it's like, okay, so let's say that you have at 6th level you can store a spell slot as your Channel Arcana that's a 3rd of your wizard class level. So you get to store a 2nd level spell slot as your Channel Arcana. It's like, well, crap, we're getting, I don't know, insert 2nd level spell that's useful and flexible here. It can be a lot of things. Let's say suggestion. Like, well, we really need to bribe this guard to let us into the city, otherwise we can't proceed with the storyline. Channel Arcana, and like it works like the Warlock Mystic Arcana. Yeah. Instead of Channel Arcana being the thing where it breaks bounded accuracy, which is one of the selling points of 5e, where the numbers never get too big and everything sort of balances itself out by staying in this range. You don't want to have like flat numerical bonuses that are so big that they just break the symmetry.
Yeah.
So I think removing that is an important part of the balance. And then as a DM, it's what do you replace it with? I think the stuff where you get the cleric domain benefits, it's fine, but there aren't that many cleric domain benefits that I think on a wizard make the game unplayable. It makes the game interesting and it opens up for some powerful combinations, but none of them are things you can't work.
Definitely. I like that.
I think part of it... Oh, sorry, you go.
It's okay. What would you replace the Divine Arcane with?
I think you could use it either in a way like sorcery points, where you can use them to buy back spells or use bonus effects, or you can use it where you or you can use it to there's things you could do where you could like use your Channel Arcanas to cast a spell from the cleric spell list instead of the wizard spell list. It's like, well, we really need to cure wounds right now because Paladin's dead and we don't have any healing.
Yeah.
Help me out here, fam.
And that's another good point is like, oh, you go, Ian.
That's fine. One of the biggest draws for me, like for cleric over wizard, is really kind of the fact that you're able to like tank a little bit more. So I mean, the Divine Arcana might even have something to do with like possibly like a blowback on yourself for like melee attacks or something like that. Maybe something that can put some distance between you and somebody.
For being the least healthy with a d6 of freaking HP.
Yeah, wizards and sorcerers in the camp of, oh wait, I'm getting hit? Uh-oh. Oh no. Oh no, we don't like that. That's bad.
Yeah.
All right. how about we move on to the Lore Master?
Yeah.
This is a really, really interesting wizard subclass to me.
I like this
because-
one.
This is literally going to be my next character when I build it.
Ah, see, there's like already 2 of us are in like for this.
Yeah. I've got a player, Lee, actually, on the channel. He plays in a game that I run, and he plays a Lore Master Wizard. So the thing that is sort of interesting about this character is that a lot of what the character is built around is understanding and knowledge and using the time and sort of learning things. So you get bonus proficiencies, and you get essentially expertise in the bonus proficiency skills you get. You get to do stuff where you switch around damage types.
Yeah.
And that lets you do some kind of interesting
saving
things.
throws for those damage types as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the things that I immediately did with rebalancing this class, because I ran a one-shot with it.
It's slightly unbalanced. Let's all admit that.
Let's be clear here. As written, the Lore Master Wizard is too powerful. We need to make ourselves clear when we're talking about this class. It's really cool. You need to do some stuff to tone it down a little. So the first thing I did as a DM who plays with this class and has seen it turn a one-shot on its head, the explanation involved
mass
suggestion and making it a strength saving throw. But
oh God,
that didn't go well.
No, if it's like a room full of like wizards or like
sorcerers
or warlocks, even they're all charisma based.
They don't have to do anything and spend all their days sitting on their ass eating. They're not going to have a high strength score.
Yeah.
So, the first thing that I think almost anybody who's DMing for this should do is tell your player if a spell saving throw is a physical saving throw, strength counter dex. If you change the saving throw, it still has to be physical. So if you change a dex save to a con save or a dex save to a strength save, but you can't change a dex save to an intelligence save. We're not turning Meteor Swarm into Tetris.
There's actually a little paragraph here that I really like that
which is the thing that I had to play out in my game. It was, somebody we went on that little journey for a few minutes. That's a story for another time. But
what were you saying, Erst? There's like a paragraph that kind of
paragraph here that really explains it nicely that I actually really like. It says while the spell secret while the spell secret's future offers increased versatility at the table, its effects can be difficult to spot by other players. If you're playing a savant, take a moment to describe how to alter your spell. Think of a signature change your character is particularly proud of. Be inventive. Make the game more fun for everyone by playing up the sudden, unexpected tricks of your character can employ. For example, a fireball transformed to require a strength save might just become a sphere of burning rock that shatters and slams into the target.
Mm-hmm.
A person that requires a constitution save might take the form of vaporous narcotic that alters the target's mood.
Yeah. See, and I think this is something between, like, if we're just comparing these two, this is something that made me enjoy the Lore Master more than the Theurgist, is that the way they're written. So, like, the Lore Master is thematic. When you're, like, listening, like, reading it and understanding it, you're like, you can come up with a theme, you can come up with a character, you can come up with, like, kind of, like a thematic look at how this class would work within a campaign. Whereas for me, the Theurgist, I'm like, I'm just seeing the same things I've already seen, and to me, that's kind of like, I'm not so interested.
Lore Master, the Lore Master wizard, or the wizard who has spent, some might say, too many hours in the library, just poring over tomes and learning things. The Lore Master is that wizard's payoff to all that time in the library.
Where did Ian go? Carry on.
He's gone to the library to read up on the Lore Master.
Oh, there you go.
As you can see, we're a bunch of professionals who know exactly what we're doing. So The Lore Master is this really interesting class that's built around a character whose knowledge of magic and knowledge of the world builds into letting them interact with the world in very unique ways. So if you want to try and rebalance this class for a game because you think that it could be too powerful, which you're probably right, as written, the Lore Master needs to curb its edge.
A tameage.
Yeah, it's really interesting. So one thing you can do is sort of figure out how to supplement some of its things with stuff about understanding. So you could maybe, where it's the Lore Master gets to, one of the things they can do is they can switch out spells that they have prepared. So you can do stuff with working around preparation. You can do stuff where it's like, because you've spent so much time studying, you can prepare more spells, and that's like part of the Lore Master's deal, is that they can just spend more time focusing on more nuanced parts of the arcana and lore because they've done all this studying. Where an evocation wizard is like, I know 10,000 ways to blow something up. A Lore Master is like, I know 100,000 things about 100,000 things. Not all of them are useful, but I know.
And not all of them connect. Like it's not like a connect the dot drawing where it's all gonna turn into a pretty picture in the end. They've just got a lot of fucking dots on the screen. Like
it's if you follow the flowchart of all the different wizard subclasses, the evocation wizard is a straight line across the screen, which is burning hands, scorching ray, fireball, ... that ends up at meteor swarm. There's like a couple paths that branch at a few different levels, but it all comes back to meteor swarm at the end. The Lore Master is like, you start with like a ball of dots, and then it's like 12 lines go off, and then by like level 5, it's just a spider web that's gone back and forth over itself a bunch of different times.
Yeah,
he's literally the guy who's in his basement like, it's a conspiracy.
Yeah, it is the I think it's from Parks and Rec, that iconic meme. But it's just the guy with the red string on the murder board. That's the Lore Master Wizard. It's a long walk to get there. There's a lot of different stuff going into it.
I thought that was Sunny in Philadelphia, but maybe I'm
Could
wrong.
be. I don't know.
I thought perhaps one of the things you could do to like kind of bring the Lore Master down a couple notches is also when they can change a spell's damage type from, like lightning to fire, say, maybe only allowing them to have the kind of to maybe have two where they've grown up. Like I already like wrote a character for this because I was so interested in it, but I'm like, okay, so this character's a Goliath. Okay, so what kind of environment he's been surrounded by? Maybe he's got really connected to earth, and maybe he's really connected to like lightning or thunder. Like that's something that he's connected to. So he has those two damage types that he's kind of aware of and can manipulate into, but he can't unlock more until he's had more experiences in the world, like a wizard should, because this is kind of, he's an elemental wizard in a way, because he is taking control of these elements. So perhaps he goes to the Underdark, he sees a lot of fucking lava and some flames and some and then he unlocks abilities to transform his spells into fire damage spells, and that can work narratively for the character as well. It's like a way to move forward.
That's a really interesting way to rebalance it, because one of the things that's really fascinating about a Lore Master as a player is just this super high level of flexibility. And flexibility is really good. It's really interesting, and it opens some really good things.
Yeah.
But what you don't want for your game
is to break your back because of how flexible it is.
Or I've got a friend who tells the story of he was playing in a campaign for a long time, and it ended up they were at pretty high levels. And basically he goes, yeah, we couldn't, almost everything out of combat was completely moot because the wizard could just do all of it. Because, because it's like, this person has disappeared. We need to find them. He was playing a ranger. He's like, time to do some tracking. And then the Lore Master Wizard's like, I change up my preparation and cast locate person. Done. Like 30 seconds. No tracking needed. They just found them. And it's like, What you don't want is to have the 3.5 wizard, which is a boogeyman that some players may know, because after like level 15, or no, it was earlier than that, but after a certain level in 3.5, if you had a wizard in your party, you didn't need anything else because they could just do everything. They could like summon an army, kill everything. It was a mess.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't pretty. And then they figured out that, hey, one class doing everything kind of sucks. We need to fix that.
Yeah.
I mean, we should move on to like the higher level of the lore, because we're at the moment we're at level 2. Like level 6, alchemical casting, allowing you to essentially sacrifice your spell slots to allow you to do other things.
Oh, which one are you looking at? Because mine. Yeah. My one at level 6 is Weave Realms.
Okay.
Yeah. So the other thing that's kind of interesting about we're using the one on D&D Beyond.
Okay. Beyond. All right, I'll go to that one instead.
So the other thing is sacrificing spell slots to increase the casting DC or to add damage types. Like, we talked about this with the Theurgist. We might be beating a dead horse here. Changing the casting DC on spells is not something that should be thrown around in a subclass feature. It's
not willy-nilly. That should be like a spell scroll that you get for like a one-time use.
It's strong enough that you should not be able to do it by throwing spell slots into a trash can, because there's a lot of times that when you're playing, you will encounter, your DM will throw something at you, which is called the spike. Spike is just a single one-time encounter. It's like everything happens in this fight. Everyone fight for your lives. It's one big fight, and that's it. Then you get a long rest. And let's say you're level 10. So at level 10, you can throw around 5th level spell slots. It's like, I need this hold monster to connect on the Hydra so they don't just eat my entire party. Well, okay, here. Goodbye, 3rd level spell slot. Save DC increased by 2. Goodbye. And then the Hydra stops moving, and your barbarian and your fighter kick the shit out of it, and then you go out for lunch afterwards. And like that's not interesting writing, because it's like, or interesting storytelling. There's no drama in the Hydra stops moving, and then everyone just collectively punches the shit out of it, and then you move on. Like, that's not exciting, and it's not exciting for your players.
I've accidentally, like with the other one that I found, I've accidentally found like a good balance for that. I'm looking at the one on D&D Beyond, and it doesn't have a second spell slot version. It has a first and a third. In the one that I found, it says use a second spell slot to increase the range by 30 feet.
Wow.
To make the range is at least 30 feet, make it a mile sort of thing. I think that's a really good little addition as well.
Yeah.
I think that's interesting. I don't think a mile is a good range increase. Because, it's like, I see we're being pursued. I cast suggestion on the guy in charge back there. He's a mile behind us. I suggest you and all of your friends turn around. Okay, sounds good. Goodbye.
Can you even roll against that?
I have to say, though,
where the suggestion is coming from.
I'm shocked at the amount of spelling mistakes in like both things we've looked at. Because if you go to D&D Beyond, which we'll drop the link in for anything we're referring to in the YouTube video at some point, but it says for the 11th level, it says at 1th level, which I don't think there's a 1th level to go to, but and that's called prodigious memory. But it's just, and then they have the 14th level one twice. So I'm like, do you get to choose one? Because they look exactly the same.
They look the same.
Spell check. Anyone who's doing Unearthed Arcana, just like, we love you. We love that you're so creative, but like, have a friend you trust spell check for you. That's all.
Yes, please.
So, I do the same for my friend. He's got a lot of Unearthed Arcana.
I read through them quickly to see. So the first one, here's the opening sentence. At 14th level, your understanding of magic allows you to duplicate almost any spell. Here's the second one. At 14th level, your understanding of magic as a whole has allowed you to recreate almost any spell.
So they're changing their wording, which is great.
The first sentence, and there's like 6 words different.
Yeah, and then it says between the two, by spending 8 hours and the equivalent to 1,000 gold worth of materials, la 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 la. And then the second one says by spending 10 hours and an equivalent of 1,000 in materials. So they've already changed it twice. There's like
so
2
there's a
different
2-hour
hours.
difference. The goal is the same. You can recreate almost any spell. You can recreate any spell you have seen and can recall it to your spell book. It counts as a wizard spell. You may learn any spell from any other spellcasting list and add it to your spell list. It counts as
it's saying the same exact sentence, but it's saying it 2 different ways, because one is saying spell book, one is saying spell list, one is saying recreate, the other is saying learn. So it is interesting, the language there, especially considering this is a lore master and it's supposed to be this high and mighty, like nerdy person.
This friends is the perfect example of why you should share a document on a group project. Because otherwise, when you try and have the 2 collaborate at the end, you get something like this as your closing paragraph twice. And then you have to explain, wait, hold on.
But it's still, I still find this a fascinating class. I want to play it. I wrote 3 pages of a background for this character, because I was like, I could see it happening. I could visualize it.
It's so indicative of like writing and storytelling.
It's a totally awesome concept.
Yeah.
It can be you got to pick the player who chooses this, because like it can be fucking munched so easily. You could bring 0 to 100, and now your entire party is under the control of the lore master.
Yeah. Well, see, that's why I suggested the whole like having less things that you can actually weave magic into. So you can only do like lightning and earth to begin with.
That could be interesting. Would be if you did like as you suggested, you start with 2 signature elements, and then and then at each level that you get a wizard subclass feature, you get to add an additional element. So it's like
and something relevant to where you are at the time.
Yeah, you start with 2, then you get 3, and then you get 4, and you end up with 5 that you can choose from, and you can switch anything into those 5. But
and then because there is actually, how many are on this list?
It's 10, I think.
So 10. So that's already half of the amount of different ones that you could do, which I think would be, like that 5 seems way more reasonable than 10, and 10 instantaneously as well. So
2, 3, 4, 5 is a much more balanced scaling than just 10.
Yeah.
I like how they've got a melee effect as well. Like
they have slashing in there.
Slashing. I'd love to cast a fireball that causes slashing damage.
So, like they just like cut to ribbons.
It's just a 20-foot radius top. It's just covered in swords, just spinning around. That's what it is. I think
I like the flair of that.
I'm trying to think of the one that would be the most entertaining for me. I really want to see just this one would be fun. Just acid meteor swarm. Just
ooh. See, one of my favorite spells ever is Cloud of Daggers. I think it's just a fun spell. If you place it right, it can like work so well for your group. And like for me, I'm like, what could I change Cloud of Daggers into? Well, like
it's like Cloud of Hammers.
Cloud of Hammers. Or like I don't know, even a cloud of poison would be really interesting. Just like this swirling mass of green, sickly like gas would be sick. That would look tight. Also, I figured out Ian has gone to go talk to a mechanic who turned up while we were live. So he's going to be back as soon as he can. So let's just keep talking.
Yeah, I'm actually going to need to leave in like 3 minutes.
Oh no!
What was really funny is like
replaced with an Ian.
A noise would happen in the background of his channel. So like every now and then it would just pop up with his chair.
Yeah. I was like, spooky ghost man.
Well,
we are really sorry Ian couldn't.
He has a spell range of a mile.
Yeah, I'm sad Ian couldn't kind of weigh in on this one.
Yeah.
So, okay. Is your fun wrong or right for Theurgist?
Your fun needs further balancing.
Your fun needs. Actually, that's
the conclusion I think we've come to.
I mean, personally, for me, I'm like, I don't need the Theurgist in my life. I already play the Divine Soul Sorcerer. I think that's fun. In all honesty, I haven't played that many wizards or that many clerics. So for me, I'm looking at the ones that are like really drawing me in as like an individual entity. So that's why I'm like, for me, your fun is meh on like Theurgist, and then your fun is awesome on the Lore Master, but with balancing.
If you want to play a Lore Master, that's awesome.
Ian!
If you want to play a Lore Master, be prepared to have your DM tell you, okay, sure, we just are changing this to this, this to this, this to this, because it's really good. And any DM with a bit of brain power will tell you, this is good. It needs to be balanced. Here's how we are going to fix that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Ian, what's your thoughts on the Lore Master? He's tabbing into things like fury.
Of the first half of everything, the second level, add to the intelligence skills and stuff like that. I think that's really smart. Especially the weave magic. This is probably my favorite part of all. Just being able to like add that RP ability in there. Like if anybody brought this to me, I'd be like, sold. Let's fucking do it.
What I said about the weave magic was that I would allow them to start with like 2. Bye, Spencer. I would allow them to start with like 2 of those options. You know, like thunder and earth, or like they have lightning and slashing or something. And then as they level up, as they go through the world and experience new places and new things, that's when they unlock the other kind of weaving.
Exactly. What I was, instead of taking these 14th level, like adding new spells that you can duplicate and blah blah blah. That's so OP. It's so OP. Let's add in the rest of this. This could be such a powerful RP class.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Freaking weird with it. But it's totally overbalanced there at the end.
Yeah. We basically have all agreed that the Theurgist is your fun is unbalanced, and then the Lore Master, your fun is unbalanced, but it's a great opportunity. Like
your fun is fun but unbalanced.
Yeah.
Love it.
But do you want to say anything else, Ian? Because Spencer's already left.
That's all I've got, guys. It's been fun.
Anyone else? No? Urs?
I've already tied in my stuff, man.
I mean, hey, your fun is your fun, and we're not going to step on that, essentially. You do you guys. This is just what we thought.
And we'd love to hear your opinions, too, so.
Yeah, please, comment down below.
Gives us something to talk about next time, too, in case one of you guys disagree.
Something that's blatantly obvious. Please, don't be afraid to, like, shout at us either.
Exactly. That's the thing. We're all learning here. We're allowed to be learning. So come on, yell at us. It's fine.
We'll have the Discord, come in, talk.
Yeah.
Tell us what you think.
And I'll be commenting down below on anyone who does bother as Digital Fireplace, digital_fireplace. That's my YouTube channel if you care to have a watch of that.
I can't.
Just like sidle in there with my hello, this is me. Anyone else gonna do that, or am I just gonna be embarrassed down here by myself?
Take care, everyone.